Last thing I want to talk about here, Brandon Aiyuk. Current update where we stand with him and the 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers and everything else happening currently. According to Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, the Pittsburgh Steelers pushed Brandon Aiyuk back to the 49ers table. Why? Because they offered just under $28 million per season. Now, what I have been told is $28.5 million, but we will go off of the latest reports. And the latest reports are Albert Breer saying it's just under $28 million. I'll tell you this, if 28.5 gets you there, if 28.5 is what you're looking at, you pay the damn $28.5 million. Because what are we doing? What is the difference? It's at that point, you have become the 49ers. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have become we're not going to budge on $750,000 for our, whatever cap space that we have moving forward. Like, it's $28.5 million for a wide receiver. That's not unheard of. It's pretty good money, and it's reasonably priced in 2 years. Go pay him $28.5 million. If just under 28 isn't getting the job done, boost your offer. Don't boost it to 30, but boost it to 28.5. Get it to where it was. The way I look at it right now, if that's for real, if that's what happened, the Steelers got to do better. At the same time, it kind of gives you an indication of where they stand, and maybe that they're not as intense in this battle and looking to get this done as much as maybe it seems that they are. Maybe they could look at it. Maybe we could start to look at it and say the Steelers want a wide receiver trade, obviously, but they have lines and they have limits of where they're going to go with this. For the first time, I think that's a stance here that I could say I support, because I'm all about getting a wide receiver, but it's good to see that the Pittsburgh Steelers no longer look like the desperate girl or the desperate guy trying to get this done no matter what. They are begging and pleading, and we will do anything that you need us to do. We love you. We'll never not love you. Come back to us. It's good to see them take a stance if this is real. That being said, be smart with that stance. If the difference is $750,000, give them the $750,000 a year. It's not going to break the bank. That's literally a Keandre Thomas. Do you even know who Keandre Thomas is?
I don't.
Exactly. But he's making $910,000 this season. So that's okay. You could give up $750,000 if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just under 28 million. I mean, look at that. If that's what they're given, for one, it makes me question where the 49ers are in that situation, because how far off are they for this to be dragged out? But two, what's the number that the Steelers have to get to? I think you have to get there. I think you try to get there if it's reasonable, and then you move forward. Thoughts? Let's talk about Game Time. I could still taste the popcorn and the soda and smell the beer of my first Pittsburgh Steelers game. And yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars might have won that day, but I will never forget how loud Heinz Field was and how rocking that stadium was on the North Shore. Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes things like getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I have an upcoming concert in Cleveland the day after the Pittsburgh Steelers play against the Browns, and instead of sitting there clicking on every single section, I'm just going to use Game Time Picks. Let's talk about why it's so great. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. On top of that, you get all-in pricing, which means that you get the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. On top of that, you get seat views, because nobody wants to buy some nosebleed seats for cheap and take a guess on whether you're staring at a pole or you just got the greatest deal in the entire venue. Plus, the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, low prices, guaranteed.
Yeah, this is the Steelers that we all know, right? Because when this all started, what was half the opposition? The Steelers don't pay wide receivers. Why would they pay this wide receiver? Why would they go out and trade for a wide receiver? It's a position that they've never done it. Well, obviously they've wanted to do it. They wanted to bring this guy in. But at the same time, Omar Khan's saying, all right, back to our roots a little bit. We're not going to overpay you here. Like, we have a line. And this is already the Steelers out of character, getting this deep into a drama for a player on another team. The fact that they are now starting to draw lines, especially at $750,000, if it is indeed what it was, maybe it doesn't make as much sense, but also it does sound like the Steelers to be like, no, we're not budging on this. And we're going to be a little stubborn and say, this is what we're offering you. We're not going to change it. So it would track with the Steelers organizational way of thinking. But at the same time, if it's $750,000 or $800,000, just make the deal. Clearly, this is the piece you need. Clearly, this is the piece that fills your biggest hole. And at the end of the day, I think you're going to get your money's worth with Brandon Aiyuk. And again, that's just me, but I think you're going to get that $800,000 back tenfold.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think the Steelers feel the same way. This is just a business, and this is how the NFL works, and they're always hard-nosed. Everybody's always way more hard-nosed than they need to be. And I understand. You're working with crazy negotiations. It's understand. But the wiggle room has to be there. Look at that. There's a part of me, this is 50-50, because there's a part of me, and I think you would agree with me on this one. There's a part of me that likes the stance by Omar Khan, because for the first time, I kind of felt like Omar Khan might be getting a little bit too desperate for this situation. It was almost embarrassing, where we were currently like watching it happen, just being like, oh, the Steelers just waiting around. It's been 3 weeks. What's going to happen next? They're just waiting for a phone call. Like, all right, I get it, but like, come on, let's not be the guy that's just sitting here all the time waiting for something to happen. At the other side of that, it's so close that I think you got to get it done. And I think the best way to go about this is to get it done. It changes the entire landscape of this entire situation. If the Steelers offer was not nearly as good as we thought it was, then we are sitting here currently going, wow, that's maybe the 49ers offer is way weaker than that. Maybe the 49ers have up their offer. Like, it changes the entire landscape. Questions we won't have answers to for the time being. But for right now, wild where we sit here with Brandon Aiyuk. More updates as they come, and things are constantly changing. Who would have thought, man? Who would have thought we're 3 weeks into the Brandon Aiyuk chase, the recent Brandon Aiyuk chase, and not a thing has happened. It's a long time. And the other latest update is, I don't know if you've seen this one, but Adam Schefter says that next week things could heat up again for Brandon Aiyuk, which essentially just means that we're just going to get more headlines with nothing behind them. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Lots to talk about.
Well, next week is also when the 53-man rosters are due. So yeah, obviously it's going to heat up, because at that point you're at the end of the preseason and you're getting ready for the regular season. So they have to make a decision at that point, especially if they want them there week 1. So yes, Adam, it makes sense. Thank you very much.
Makes a lot of sense.